one is that the Federal Aviation Administration has approved the elevated storage tank out in the Flour Bluff area. This is a long-term project, but the process is moving forward, and we should have that wrapped up by 2021. So we're way in advance of when we expect to have that water tower online. But in the event that people see surveyors and folks of that nature out there, that is what they're out there surveying for. Another event that is ongoing through the summer is our Summer Bay Jammin concert and cinema series. These are held at Cole Park at the amphitheater and are sponsored by our Parks and Recreation Department, and these are currently ongoing and occur every week, Thursday and Friday, and they will run through August 17th. These are free events.
All right, that's it?
Yes, sir.
All right. Mr. Smith?
Thank you, Mr. Selman. I'd like to take the opportunity to thank you and city staff for your participation in the last Saturday's Storm Expo. I went down there. We had about 1,000 citizens came, and I don't know how many booths that the city had, but quite a few on there, and quite an event. So thank you, Mr. Manager, and particularly the staff, for everybody that spent their Saturday down at there showing our citizens the best way to handle that expo. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you to everybody. City performance report. Chief, you're up.
Good morning, Mayor.
Good
I didn't think I was going to be able to say good morning, but good morning to you and the City Council. My name is Robert Rocha. I'm the Fire Chief for the City of Corpus Christi, and with me I have Deputy Chief Richie Quintero. It's my pleasure to bring to you the performance report for the Fire Department. It is broken up into 3 segments: the operational profile, which are general characteristics of the department.
Oh, Chief, I thought when he said you're going to do CPR, you're going to give a demonstration down here. I'm a little slow, so go ahead.
You're good. The operational profile are general characteristics of the department that you see. The baseline information is information that is provided by the department that is input, both manually input by firefighter officials, but also by software programs that we have that automatically update this information. Currently, right now, I've got you on the airport, but let me turn you to the fire department. Yes, there it is. Thank you very much. As it's shown there, we have 11 ambulances, 22 fire companies, and 18 fire stations. The performance indicators, I've talked to you about the operational profile and the baseline information. I want to move to the performance indicators, and at this point, the performance indicators are goals that are provided for each of the mission elements, and they can be shown on a monthly basis, on a quarterly basis, and on an annual basis. And I want to press 1 right now. For the month of May, our average response times for first arriving units. Basically what residents can do, Mayor and City Council, is to click on that button. They can see what our response times for structure fires have been ever since May of 2017. The CPR is designed to show fire department performance results, but it establishes accountability for the department in terms of our citizens and our elected officials being able to click on and see live data that we have input on a monthly basis. In fact, this information is information that the fire department has always had and that we've used to create our short-term, our middle-term, and our long-term planning. But it is very interesting when residents can go and see actually what their firefighters are doing. The first average response time for first arriving units was 5 minutes and 3 seconds, as you can see there, which is a very good response time. We try to average about a 5-minute response time. As you saw, the operational profile shows our mission statement, which we use on a day-to-day basis to drive what we do. And the baseline information is the raw data that is extracted from our software and our input. I can get very technical, but I thought maybe I would give some time for council members and for you, Mayor, to ask me any questions that you may have with regards to our CPR.
I don't have any questions, but I think it's the public really needs to understand, if I'm reading this correctly. No, you're good. I don't have this in front of me other than what you got on your screen here. I'm low tech, so I needed my book, but I don't have it. But the way I read this is that, and this is for the month of May, these numbers, right?
Yes, sir.
You had 3,530 ambulance calls, medical service calls.
That's correct.
And go back.
Yes, sir.
Go back to the chart. I want to see the numbers. You had 3,530 ambulance calls, and you had 16 fire calls.
16 structure fire calls. The 16 structure fires are calls where there's an identifiable fire dollar loss. Now, I will tell you, during the months of May, June, and July, those are not our peak months. The fire department, on average, is around 300 structure fires. And the only things that we put in there on
Per
structure...
month or per year?
Per year.
Okay.
The only thing that we put into the structure fire category is very specific. It has to be where there was a structure fire and an identifiable dollar loss. So on calls that we go to, structure fire calls that we go to, and there's no dollar loss, those aren't listed in the structure fire category. They're listed in another category. So we want to be very specific about what calls that we run, but the value of the call. So if you take a look at the number of other calls, that 758 number, there may be a number of calls where the fire department was dispatched to a structure fire, but it ended up not being a structure fire. It ended up being maybe food on the stove or some other incident where there was no identifiable dollar loss to the structure.
Okay. Well, I mean, the message, and even with 300 a year, I think, you know, our efforts over the year, education and fire safety and our rules and regulations, I think are proving to be pretty beneficial. That if it's your fire, it's a bad fire.
Uh-huh.
I mean, and no fires is our goal, but I mean, that's a pretty significant for a town this size to have that few number of fires. And so I think all the efforts in education over time is paying off in our building planning and education. So just
I think you're spot on, not only
Commendation to
in the
fire.
public education, but in rules and regulations, building codes, fire codes. Those have significantly decreased the numbers of fires. What you're going to have, though, is that all across the country, and especially in Corpus Christi, we're always going to be about the 270 to 310 structure fires a year because there's malfeasance, there's arson, there is people that don't use good judgment. There are always going to be a number of fire calls, but we seem to have done a good job in educating the public and outlawing, making sure that electrical appliances and things are all UL listed. And so we've cut down the number of those fires, but you're never going to be able to eliminate and have zero fires for the year.
understand. Thank you. Go ahead.
That's all I have for you.
Is it over? I'm sorry.
So, Chief, I just have to say, I actually understand how some of this is working because I'm having to, a property that I'm having to go back and look at, and the inspection says you need GFCI plugs like everywhere now. So when you get those things in place, it definitely enhances the safety and the quality of the structures to be able to manage it at the point rather than to let it get out of control. And I really wanted to commend you on for including this outreach and communication to the community about what they need to do. I know that there's a lot of citizen input, and I know that it's not always just bringing people to a meeting, and I know that's one of your measures, but I know that you guys are out in the public so much more. And so, you know, as you're looking at you know, people at a meeting doesn't really reflect the outreach and the communication and the tools that you put out for the public. So as you're looking to refine this for the next level, if you can find a way to quantify that, because I'm sure you're reaching, you know, and I know if this were October, we'd probably see a lot more of them from the school standpoint because you're out in schools and talking about Fire Safety Month. But I know whether it's smoke alarms, smoke detectors, you know, in properties, or managing some of the things that you talked about in terms of fire, you know, cooking challenges. And I think you guys may actually have some printed materials or some things that you send out. And I just think you need to let people know that you are out there every single day of being proactive in advancing their safety. So we thank you for that.
We'll continue to do that. We were at the expo. Councilman Smith was correct. There are a lot of city elements out there, but fire department was out there, and then we'll be at City Hall in the mall again this year, where we'll be providing free blood pressure checks for people who come by. So it's going to be an interesting event. It's going to be, it was an awesome event over Saturday, but we're going to have an equally awesome event for City Hall in the mall.
Thank you. Any other questions? Not. Good report.
Thank you,
very
sir.
much. Appreciate it. All right, strategic future issues, anything there? All right, motion for the minutes.
Move to approve.